You know, over the last few months, I've come under a lot of fire for some of my previous videos where I state my opinions on Second Amendment rights. See, that's the thing about me. People don't have to wonder what I think because I'm more than willing to stand up for my beliefs when it comes to the Second Amendment, and I make videos on them. I say what I think, whether it's popular or not. I get it out there and I make it public. People don't have to wonder about me. But there's some channels that like to attack me. So they will single out some of my old videos to send people to say nasty things, and they will choose the weirdest videos. The videos that show what actual shills and fakes they are by the fact that they're offended by my previous video. So a lot of people now have been attacking me about one video I made specifically because they're like, well, I can't believe you believe that about the Second Amendment. And let me tell you something. I'm glad people don't have to wonder what I think about the Second Amendment. I'm glad they can go back and look at my old videos because I prefer to walk the walk than I do talk the talk, especially not after I've been caught on being a fake or a phony, where I have to make a video that's even faker and more phony, where I'm like pretending to chop wood. And oh, hey, a camera just showed up, so I thought I'd take a moment to answer your question about where I stand on the Second Amendment, because people keep asking me that because I don't know, because I never have defended it in the past, and all my actions in the past would make people believe I'm just a big old elitist and a thud, but I'm going to tell you I'm not, even though everything I did proves that I pretty much am, and I'm going to hope you're too stupid to tell the difference, because I want you to keep giving me your money. I don't have to make videos like that because people don't have to ask where I stand, because I show them where I stand. I tell them what I think. So fuck those channels like Hickok45 who have to now, after they've been caught being a shill, come out and try to pretend like they haven't been, like they've been walking the walk or something when they haven't. But the bad thing about having actually let people know what I think is sometimes I get attacked by it. And one of the things that a lot of people who don't like me have been sending people to comment on lately is a video I did where I said, once you're out of prison, if you're a felon, once you're out of prison, you should get all your rights back. That includes voting and guns. So I've been dealing with a flood of people coming in going, this is the most irresponsible thing I've ever heard, and I can't believe you would be okay with like someone who killed a 3-year-old and then they get out of prison and they get another gun, or someone who's a gangbanger did a drive-by and then as soon as they do their time they get out and get another gun, you know, and they can just go get one. And like, I'm not ashamed of that opinion. I actually do believe if someone serves their sentence and they get out of prison, they should be able to buy a gun. But see, there's the key thing, and there's the flaw in your argument. You're arguing based on the premise that if someone does something heinous and that they're still a danger to society, they should still get out. I'm arguing that if they do something heinous and they're still a danger to society, they don't get out. So my answer to these people are like, well, you think this person should be able to own a gun if they get out? I'm like, yes, if they get out. But if they're not trustworthy, they should still be in prison. If you can't be trusted with your rights, you shouldn't be out of prison after you've committed a heinous crime. And the problem with a lot of people that are felons that are in prison now is they've never committed a heinous crime. They've never been a threat to society, period. So if we got rid of most of that population, well, then we'd be able to keep people that are actually dangerous in prison. Because that's one of the arguments that the people who say, we can't keep them in prison because prisons are overcrowded and it would cost too much money and, oh, it's just inhumane. It is not inhumane to lock up a rabid dog. It's not inhumane to put down a rabid dog. And as far as the cost goes, if prisons weren't set up in this country to be a for-profit corporate system, we wouldn't have most of the people in prison that we have in prison. We've got people in prison for shoplifting a belt for a job interview that now has a 40-year prison sentence. We have people for traffic violations that are serving 20 years. We have people for minor drug offenses that are serving life sentences. People that were no threat to anyone, but they're cheap and easy to house, so they're easy to make a profit off of because they're not violent people, so you don't need a lot of guards and a lot of security and a lot of bars because you know you can just house them in a big room in cots and they're not going to kill each other because they're not animals. If those people weren't there, we could keep the animals locked up pretty easily. Because here's the secret. If you commit a heinous crime and then you can't be trusted, you're not rehabilitated, you don't get out. And if prisons were more about punishing the really bad people and rehabilitating the people that can be rehabilitated, then we would have a lot less problem with people who get out doing bad things. If we actually centered on rehabilitation of people and then let them out, even if they got their rights back, they would commit crimes at a much lower rate than the people who come through the revolving door system now, where it's nothing about just it's about nothing but just housing them and making money off of them and then putting them back out so they can house them again and use them as political tools. Those people offend again at a much higher rate. The recidivity rate is much higher for them. So if we actually made prisons about punishing the really bad, rehabilitating the others, and not locking up people who aren't a threat to anyone, we could easily lock up all the monsters and keep them locked away. People that can't be trusted to vote or own a gun after they're out of prison shouldn't be out of prison, period. That's the flaw in your argument. Your argument requires that we release these monsters back into society while they're still a threat. That shouldn't be the case. That actually prevents bad things from happening. It just doesn't set up a system to prevent a huge group of people that wouldn't do anything wrong from exercising a right. Those laws are all racist anyway. If you pay attention, they were all created back during the end of segregation, back when they said, well, frick, if we can't just tell people they don't got any rights, black people, they don't got any rights, if we got to treat them like citizens, well, then they're going to be voting and they're going to be owning guns, and when we come to lynch them, they're going to shoot us, so we can't have that. So what we'll do is we'll just make these laws that say if you've ever been arrested for a felony and convicted of a felony, you can't buy a gun. And then we'll just round up some posses and go around and arrest as many black people for felonies, sentence them, and then they can't own guns or vote again. It's all racism. If prison was about punishing bad people, rehabilitating questionable people, and if laws were about doing what's right and not based on racism, etc., we wouldn't have the problem. We wouldn't even have to worry about whether once people were out of prison, if they should get their rights back. If you serve a prison term for a felony, once you're rehabilitated, you get out. And I'm okay with there being like a trial period at the end of a prison sentence. Like, okay, once you've served your incarceration, you have a year of probation or 6 months of probation. I'm willing to negotiate a limited time frame on that to show that they're melding back into society. And hopefully if they've been rehabilitated and educated while they're in, they'll be able to meld back in very well. You'll see a much higher rate of people melding back in very well. So if we did that, we wouldn't have the problems. Like I said, I'm okay with that little trial period, but once it's over, boom, all your rights back. You've done your time, you rehabilitated, you're back in society, and you're a citizen, and you should have all the rights of a citizen, regardless of your color, your religion, whatever. If you're a citizen and you're not incarcerated, you have your rights. You don't get to preemptively remove people's rights. You don't get to remove their rights because, well, they once did something and I don't trust them anymore. You don't get to do that to a great number of people because a small number of people might get out and do something bad. Like I said, we could deal with that by just making sure the wrong people didn't get back out. So for those of you that want to just attack me on the fact that I don't believe in saying felons can't buy guns, and I think felons should be allowed to buy guns, you're looking at the problem all wrong. Your argument is flawed, like I said, because you're assuming we have to let them out. You don't have to let out someone that's a threat to society. That's what prison is for, is to separate people that are dangerous and have shown through their actions that they're dangerous from the rest of society. So if we got back to doing that and stopped worrying about making profits and enforcing ridiculous drug laws or prostitution laws, people in prison for having sex with someone for money. I'm sorry, but that's mostly what marriage is about. So it's just ridiculous. If we readjusted our stupid moral laws and our racist laws and actually made prison about what it's supposed to be about, then felons owning guns wouldn't be a problem. So as far as I believe, if you're a legal, law-abiding citizen that isn't incarcerated, you get your rights, all your rights. And nothing you all say, no bad scenarios you're going to create about what kind of bad person is going to get out again is going to sway me. Because that person just shouldn't be out. But everyone that is safe enough to be out should be able to exercise their rights, and that includes all of their rights, including and especially buying a firearm.
Step into the lady at 46 South Rose. 46 South Rose.
Station 1 call, retone that please. 10-4. Got the 4 to go to that location also. This is 19, is that correct?